F18 single boiler. So this is exactly the same single boiler configuration as a Zoe, just much bigger with a few more benefits and everything else. So for those of you that are willing to come a bit closer, you're more than welcome. The SB is fully insulated, so you'll see there's a full jacket wrapping the boiler, which is Velcroed on. That gives you a huge amount of temperature stability. The benefit of that jacket, it will actually hold the boiler to 50 degrees after 4 hours of being turned off. So actually from an energy efficiency point of view and a consistency of temperature point of view, this machine will hold its temperature far longer than any other machine on the market once it's turned off. Again, we're using 2 mil thick copper on all the boilers, so we've got that inherent level of temperature control and stabilisation as well. We moved to an E63 style group head on the F18, but what we do is we actually upweight that to about 3.2 kilos of metal behind that group head, again to further stabilise temperature and stability of the machine as well. Other than that, it's very similar to any sort of entry level from a calibration and build point of view. So we can flush the group heads on a single press, and then we can calibrate our volumetrics in the same way you would on a Zoe or on an F18 on the two group heads. The big benefits with the F18 SB is volume capacity and volume output. You'll get probably double that you'd get out of a Zoe without any issues, and also you get uprated steam arms, quarter turn activation with a purge feature as well on the other direction. That's standard on the F18. Yeah, it used to be a half turn, but then about 12 months ago, it went up to a quarter turn. So. From an engineering point of view, very simple, easy access. One screw lifts the whole drip tray off. Again, you've got the drains in the back there to allow the machines to drain down into the dump box instead of soaking the inside of the machine. We've also got our pressure release valve, which then also, if it does ever fire off, releases into the dump box as well without soaking the inside of the machine. So from an engineering point of view, it's really nicely laid out. Nice and clean to work on. The inside of the machine doesn't get covered in water and coffee at any particular time. Yeah, we'll look after you as a complete workhorse for any sort of core business for 400 or 500 cups of coffee a day, no problem at all. What, volume-wise? Yeah. Yeah, you're probably, sort of 550 sort of cups. I mean, all of it's relative to, if you've got to get that volume out of that machine, you'd probably need to be having 2 really good baristas working the machine full time to maximise that. So, yeah. Equally, the stability of temperature on the SB is also improved versus things like the Zoe and the D8. So, where we say like 2 degrees, 1 degree, we're getting into sort of half a degree of temperature variation. So further improved stability across the machine as the price point and the range goes up.
Or is that simplifying
Not overly. You'd still, in many scenarios, off a good fully powered single boiler, you'd get the similar volume out. You wouldn't get the consistency in quality potentially. That would be the wavering factor. If I was to make 1 coffee every minute consistently on this machine, it would be fine. But if I then demanded it made 2 coffees or 3 coffees every minute, that's when it's going to struggle. Whereas the multi-boiler will hold up far better because it's all its independent boilers. But at the same time, that's going to use a lot more power because it's got 3 independent boilers, well, an independent boiler per group head and then a steam boiler from that point of view as well. So there is pluses and minuses when it comes to that, but it's all down to what your busiest hour looks like to what the machine then fits for the scenario. So the single boiler is far from an energy efficiency point of view. The average current working is this will save you about £1,000 a year in energy versus a sort of a classic 2-group traditional layout machine. So huge amount of opportunity for savings on energy and efficiency as well. So the other thing with this is you can run this one's running on 16 amp, so you can actually run this on 16 amp and still get a very good volume out of it because of all the insulation and the style of the build and everything else. So. Actually, I'd probably say all the machines in here are running on 16 amp, if they're running. That one's not. That's the only one that's not. Even the multi-boiler and the Cafe Racer, you can manage them down to run at 16 amp if you wanted to. So,
how much does that change volumes by?
a lot, especially on the Racer. Especially on the Racer. The way it does it is it actually prioritises one boiler over the other. So first thing in the morning when I turn that on, it'll heat the steam boiler up first and then it will do the brew boilers. So then if through the day, if you're using using the steam boiler and using the group heads, it'll always bring the steam boiler back up first before refreshing the group head. So it just prioritises its heat cycles. Whereas 32 amp all day long for any multi-boiler would be the recommendation. 2 or 3 group.